So let's rank these 5 teams: Ben and Colin, J-Dub and Dylan, Gabe and Andrei, Fed and Matt, Hayden, Pablo. Let's say Christian and Riley. But those 6, who are you power ranking? And if there's anybody else that I forgot, leave a comment down below, and then you can go yourself. I'm just making sure the editors are.
Damn.
Sorry.
Is the swear jar back? The swear jar is back, baby. We are back.
If you're not a very well-trained eye, you're going to think that Deckel's serve is illegal because he hits it hard and he's big, right? I think Deckel said this before, and I'll say it right now. Somebody send us a screenshot. Tweet at me a screenshot. If you find a screenshot of Deckel hitting an illegal serve in a PPA match, I'll give you $20. Find me one.
That's easy. Frank, get on it.
Frank, get on it. Anybody, get on it. I will pay you $20 if you can find one of Deckel hitting a illegal serve.
CoreVive Hydrate is an advanced electrolyte drink mixed designed to ensure optimal hydration, essential for managing nerve, muscle, and brain function. The Hydrate formula is NSF certified for sport and is free of artificial colors and sweeteners. With 4 times less sugar and 3 times the electrolytes of grocery brands, the pure cane sugar aids in the efficient absorption of electrolytes, making it superior to water alone. Hydrate is used by more than 4 MLB teams, and Pink Lemonade is available in stick packs or a tub. You can get a whole tub of this stuff, Zane. Use code PICKLE30 at CoreVive.com, that's CORVIVE.com, to save 30% on your order. Additional talking points at this file.
That's good stuff. They should have to pay a premium for that one. I mean, that's gold. You think I could have used some CoreVive that day? We played at your house when I was cramping up.
Tummy ache survivor over here.
Yeah.
Cramping. Yeah. I think you probably could have.
By the time this airs, I think we will have a giveaway live with 10 of Jeannie Bouchard's signature Versix paddles. So there'll be 10 winners, and one of the winners will get a pickleball box as well. So once this goes live, that giveaway should be live. You can check on any of our social media accounts. Just go to the link tree, and it'll be the first thing listed. So that's linktr.ee/dinkfam, and win a Jeannie Bouchard paddle.
Welcome to the world's shortest pickleball podcast, hosted by myself, Matty Pickles. Basil the dog is remote with us. And today our guests are Zane Navratil and Thomas Shields of PicklePod.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you guys on. I'm glad we could finally make this work.
This is very cool. Usually you have a canine.
It's true. It's true. We're gonna edit him in later.
Basil's a boy?
Basil is a boy. A lot of people think Basil is a girl. But
people think Murray is a girl and Arlo is a boy. So
maybe it's because Arlo ends with an O.
Yeah, and that's fair. Arlo is definitely a boy name.
Yeah.
But she's got a pink collar.
Well, that's all the time we have today.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome
They're
to
gonna eat
PicklePod,
that one
Matty
up.
Pickles. You know, Zane, I am a little disappointed that you are not wearing a gold medal right now.
Well, yeah, me too. But I'm pretty happy I got a medal. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I was. I haven't been that excited for a PPA final in a long time.
Neither have I.
I gotta say
Neither
the
is Matty
same.
Pickles.
And I was there, and like the fact that you made the final for like one of the few tournaments I actually made it to this year was pretty awesome. So
Did it for you. So it was your brother's bachelor party, which
That's
brought
true.
you to Las Vegas, brought you, your brothers, and Tim Klitsch.
And my 91-year-old grandfather came along, and he came to the PPA with us as well on Sunday. He showed up at the airport, the Austin airport, on Friday morning dressed as Elvis, and I have a picture I can show you. Like it was literally an amazing moment. The
That's
dude
legendary.
He will not quit.
Jamie, we're going to have to edit that in.
Yeah.
Will he get on the pickleball court?
No, but he lives right next door to my parents who have a pickleball court.
Mm-hmm.
So he had seen Colin and Ben practice before, so he knows what pickleball is. And
Yeah.
He'd never.
One thing: be cognizant of the mic as you are as you're looking back and forth.
I tried to tell him.
Got
It's
it.
good eye contact, good presence here so far.
Okay.
Clearly not a professional.
No. Everything I do at home is very low budget. I just do it on my phone. So, and also this is already 5 times longer than what I normally do. So,
Welcome to the big leagues. Where should we start? I feel like we've got a lot to go over here, and
let's start
You
with
just had a big weekend, so
let's start with Matty Pickle. We'll get to the serve controversy. We'll get to the weekend. We'll get to the courts. Let's hear. Have you ever been to a PPA other than PPA Austin before?
No, so I went to PPA Austin in 2023 and in 2024, and other than that, that's it. I've been to 4 APPs, and somehow I've never been to an MLP.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So
You've never
you
been
never
to-
even
I've
went to
never
the first MLP?
No, because I hadn't moved
Oh,
back
yeah,
to
you were
Austin
in
yet,
Dallas.
so I was still up in Fort Worth.
So what are your impressions overall of a PPA tournament as somebody who's super into the sport and as a fan? What were your likes and what were your dislikes from this?
So this was a progression draw, which I'd never been to before. And I like that because I was there on Friday, which is quarterfinals day. So there were a ton of really great matches. You kind of get to see a little variety too, which is nice. And then I was there on Sunday for championship Sunday. But I kind of wish it would have just been a regular draw for me being there, because by the time I got there, like maybe 75% of the pros have already gone home. It's kind of fun just to be able to like see them all walking around. I think you lose that as we progress through these progression draws. So being there as like kind of like a really diehard fan who wants to like see like all the players, you lose that. But it is also great just seeing a ton of really good matches on that Friday, especially quarterfinals day. I think it's like probably the best day to go. Maybe even semis on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what do you think of a convention center? We were in the Fontainebleau Resort Hotel, which is a brand new hotel in casino in Vegas. Enormous hotel.
It was massive. I got lost like coming in through the wrong side. I had to go through a whole casino. I lost half my money by the time I made it up to the
There we go.
to the convention center. But so I'd been to the APP Miami earlier this year, and that was at the Miami Beach Convention Center, which was a much different vibe. Like this one, like that one, there were just courts everywhere. I think they had like maybe 40 courts. I don't think there were as many courts at this one.
There were
in the
36
PPA.
at this
Yeah,
one.
Okay, so there were a lot. But
there was an entire a totally different room about the same size.
that makes sense.
If you were only in the room with the center court. Actually, you know what? They might have just taken the wall down. I think that's what they did.
Okay.
I think they had it separated off into 2 rooms at first, as one of them was under construction.
But anytime you're in a convention center, like people are going to complain about the courts, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot for this event. I think people probably complained a little bit about the one I went to in Miami, but like it's kind of just a trade-off of if you want to do tournaments in cool places like this, you have to find a way to make that work. Like I went to the APP in New York City at the US Open. They're not going to let you resurface the US Open tennis courts for pickleball. So if you want to do it there, you have to have, I think they use Pickleball United. So it's like a trade-off. If you want to be able to do it in cool places like this, you have to find a way to make that work. And it's kind of cool that we have these services that are, I think we're learning best practices as we do more tournaments. And places
I mean,
like
it's
that.
pretty cool that just like for pickleball alone, we can just pop up a tournament in like a building, the convention center. You can, it's not many other sports you can do that with.
Right.
I do know that like lately they had been using pickle roll as like the go-to for the portable court. They recently switched away from that. I don't know who they're using now.
I guess it's Acrotech, I think.
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But Pickle Roll made damn sure to let everybody know it wasn't us.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
No, they were. They were like they were really flustered by that because like the announcers were calling out the court quality.
To be fair, we all thought it was Pickle Roll.
Yeah, and they were taking all the heat for it, and they were like, "We got to clear our name." So I kind of understand where they're coming from.
To be fair, but it wasn't the court surface's fault, right? In either Salt Lake or in
they had like
Vegas.
up on a platform, like it was.
Yeah. Well, Salt Lake was a convention center, and it was on a concrete floor, and there were like plugs and stuff like underneath and seams. Like your rollout court is only ever going to be as good as what's underneath it.
Yeah.
In Vegas, we had carpeting, on top of which they put like they built up a little layer of like wood on top of that and then had it on top. So there were still like a bunch of dead spots and bad bounces. The court overall was very dead, small, like plenty of problems.
It was very tight. I saw several times players like completely took out, especially on grandstand court, completely took out some of the side netting, and championship Tyra almost like slid underneath like the sidewalling on the side.
But one thing I had written down to ask you was like, were the bounces weird just across the entire surface? When I was watching it, first of all, it sounded different every bounce.
When they're bouncing the ball before
But
they
it-
serve, like you can just hear it. Just sound,
Yeah, it just sounded
hollow
different.
sound.
But then it also, even on like dinks, it just felt like the ball would it would decel after the first bounce and
Yeah.
kind of like hold up a little bit.
So the way that the courts played differently was every single shot bounced about 20% less in height than normal, right? So every bounce is a little bit more dead. The court surface was unbelievably gritty. So the ball would hit and just die in place as well. It was not traveling through the court whatsoever. So you could get away a ton with drive your third and drop your fifth, because when they hit that fourth ball, that volley, it hits the court and it literally just sits there. It does not travel through the court at all. And then you had your, egregious dead spots, which were kind of rough.
All right, we're going to do a little technical troubleshooting here and make sure my mic is on. So you guys just have fun. I'm going to go
Just tap it.
I'm gonna go check.
Do players aim for these dead spots, Zane? Like if you played on the same court, maybe over the course of a 5-game match or just like day to day, like if there's like a spot you could dink to, like are you aiming for those?
I don't know how to handle this situation right now. Thomas just walked out. He's fed up with this podcast. He said it's too long for me. No, you kind of get an understanding of where the dead spots are and whether there might be a good or a bad spot of the court or side, essentially. But it'd be impossible to do it on purpose. And let's say you could do it on purpose. Let's say you could hit these dead spots on purpose. The dead spots, the egregiously bad dead spots, weren't more than like a ball size. And the thing with pro pickleball is, if you go to the same spot 5 times in a row, you're just going to lose the point. They're going to do something, and they're going to maneuver it around, and you're going to be
that's
in a
the
bad
difference
spot.
between pro pickleball and what I'm doing. Is people can go to the same spot on me 10 times in a row, and it'll still work for them.
That's one of the differences, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the few.
But look, so courts, Vegas was the worst courts I've ever played a tournament on.
Oh,
but,
they were, okay.
But look at it. I'm bullish on. I told Connor this. I'm like, the courts suck. This tournament is a net positive.
It was really cool in there.
It
was
is
really cool. Yeah.
It was a net positive. Like being downtown in Las Vegas, good crowds. Like courts are bad, but like I am happy to be here. Like this is sweet.
Yeah, you could like see the potential, like figure out the courts, and the venue was pretty sick. It was a lot of fun. I was happy to be there.
Did you see the clip of Rafa just flipping the bird to the court? on his way
I
out?
saw
There were a
several
lot of
players do
those.
that. Yeah, I think I saw some technical warnings handed out for that as well.
Yeah, it was bad timing because the referees were also instructed for this tournament in particular to crack down on our behavior. And so that coupled with the courts led to some...
Is that just a Las Vegas thing? They thought maybe y'all would be out, partying, maybe acting a little crazy.
I don't know, but yeah, we get away with some shit. So, they were on their... they were on patrol with certain things like
Right.
not just walking off the court when you're calling timeout. There were a bunch of technical warnings about that. Yeah.
Jame flicked off the court too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We just got players giving
Yeah.
the bird to the courts. Everybody who's like first tournament it is, they're like, these people are insane.
Flipping off the court.
People are unhinged.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, it's like there's always a different inanimate object that pickleball we're obsessed with, like with paddles. We're angry about our paddles, or now it's courts.
Yeah. Okay, let's say we get courts and then paddles figured out. What are we flipping off next? Like,
I
what's
think
left?
the net.
I can't believe Colin hasn't.
That he probably has. But
Yeah.
also that little black bar that you get replays on.
Ooh, yeah.
There was a match last week in Salt Lake City where J-Dub and Dylan would have won a game. They were up 10-6, but they got a replay because it bounced back at the net, and then all of a sudden they end up losing that game. So it's like you have pieces of equipment involved, whether it's paddles, the net, the courts, that are impacting the outcome of games, like pretty much in every aspect. So
Yeah, I agree. That net rule is a dumb rule. So basically the rule is if a ball on the nets that we're playing on, and there are, I think, 3 different rule sets based on different types of nets. Temporary nets, semi-temporary nets, C&D nets. It depends on the type of stands they're on as well. But on the nets that we are playing on, if the ball goes over, and then comes back into what would be the bottom of the net, but hits the bar, the metal bar. It is a replay in a situation where nobody is ever going to be able to get that ball back, which is just dumb rule. So
there's a lot of dumb rules.
Don't get me started.
No.
Don't get me started.
No. All right. Well, so let's talk about your final. I cleared my whole schedule just to sit down and watch this thing. My 5 takeaways were: serve is super tough to call in real time. There are body bags on body bags. Zane, you should wear all black every time you play. Crowd couldn't decide who they were rooting for. In fact, you and Deckel were almost like the villains at one point.
Hell yeah.
But then it seemed to like
Not in our
switch back.
section. Not in our section.
So you guys were leading the charge, bro. But you were like the few people who were clapping.
That
when
they
you
were
guys
like-
won a point.
They started a
Yeah.
Zane chant.
Yeah, we got a Zane chant going at one point. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. They didn't come through on the camera. Zane was just Zane and Deckel in all black were the villains.
My brother, who was it was his bachelor party. I think he probably drank 6 to 8 $25 cocktails during the course of your match. So he
That
was
sounds like a great Sunday.
he was very pro Zane.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Shout out.
The last takeaway was Tardio's energy was really low. We were like, get Tardio a Sprite. All of a sudden, he did pick it up toward the end, and he was like bouncing around. But at the beginning, I don't know if you watched the live stream, but there was a timeout, and he's just like sitting there like slumped, like
I did see that.
didn't even want to be there.
I literally thought about that. I'm like, what? This guy is playing a gold medal match. It looks like he needs a nap right now.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm losing. I feel like an idiot.
If Tardio had hit you, I think it was match point.
It was.
And he absolutely, I've never seen somebody drill a ball like that. If he hit you, would you have been pissed?
He missed, bitch.
There were some words exchanged after that too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just started.
You gave him the
gave
Matumbo.
that, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it online, but like I'm like, all right, well, we're down 10-2. I'm gonna talk.
Yeah.
And so I gave him a little like cheeky out call after that. I wouldn't have been pissed. I mean, I would have been pissed that we lost, but like, oh well. He wanted to end it with a bang, and so I just talked to him for like a good 15-20 seconds. I was like, Gabe, you hit that so hard. If it didn't hit the net and go way wide, it would have hit me, and then the match would have been over. But now we're still playing. I was just talking to him. I'm like, all right, let's see how long we can make this match before the referee tells me that I need to serve the damn ball.
You got body bagged.
I got body bagged a lot.
Infinity times.
But y'all also body bagged.
Yeah, there's just a lot all around.
And you know what it made me think of? The last time I saw a match with that many body bags, it was you and Eric Lang versus Deckel and Tyson. And the two common denominators here is you and Deckel. So
Yeah.
anytime you and Deckel are on the court together, wear some glasses, I guess.
As a fan, do we like that?
As a fan, I like that. I do.
We love that. Yeah.
We like body bags.
We like dodgeball.
Body bags are fun pickleball to watch.
There are people out there who play like, just when they're, BSing around, they play like body bags are double. It's a fun way to, it's fun. People like it.
I agree. I think body bags are fun. Yeah, Deckel and I are definitely a common denominator in that one. And I just have slow hands, so I get hit.
But when y'all had John Isner on, he said that being tall, you're a big target for body bags. Then why was it you getting body bagged and not Deckel? He's a much bigger target. You're the short king, as we established.
So I got hit like Andrei hit me with one flick where I was sliding to the left and it like got me here. But part of it was a strategy. I was just like on a few of those slow ones, me and Deckel talked about it, like wait on your forehand. Like I was looking to take some of his attacks with my forehand. And so I was sliding the other direction, leaving my backhand side completely open. Like there was a very small window where my backhand is, because that very quickly turns into Deckel murdering a forehand back at them. So I'm sliding this way, covering my forehand side. Deckel has almost everything else covered with his forehand, and they got that small window like twice on some of those slow rolls where I just looked like an idiot.
You did.
Yeah.
And as a fan, we also like that. It's fun. Yeah.
You tried to slide left, and you slid into like Deckel's forehand. Deckel would have put it away, but you like were trying to dodge the ball and just misjudged the speed up and like slid right into the ball.
Oh yeah, I was sitting on my forehand, and if it didn't go to my forehand, I was toast.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a strategy that we had talked about because Andrei is very good at picking spots with his flicks, and so look, I'm not out there to look cool. I'm out there to try and win.
Well, you got body bagged in like the groinish area. Didn't get you there, and everyone was like, thank God. And then a few plays later, you got hit right in the nuts.
I never got hit in the nuts.
In the last game. You didn't?
Mm-mm. It was close to my nuts.
You even did this like after with your paddle.
Oh yeah, I was like, thank goodness. No, I did. If it hit me in the nuts, you would know about it. Funny story about getting hit in the nuts. It used to not be a medical timeout. I played a final back in like 2021, and I got hit in the nuts by Steve Deacon, and I'm like lying on the ground, and Bob Swisshelm was the referee. I'm like, Bob, I need a medical. He's like, well, this isn't a medical timeout. You just got to get up. I'm like, well, what do you mean it's not a medical timeout? If this isn't a medical timeout, what is a medical timeout?
I've seen Colin Johns take a 20-minute medical.
Yeah, Colin's taken them. Like, plenty of people have taken them since. I like to think that maybe I'm the rule change there. But
you're always the rule changer.
But he says, all right, fine. If you take a medical, we need to get the doctor out here. And then I just yell, what is the doctor going to say? Stop getting hit in the nuts? What do you mean? Like,
I think you just do your physical at that point.
Cough?
Yeah.
So yeah, it used to not be a medical. Now if you get hit in the nuts, it's a medical. We're agents of change.
There you
here.
go.
Agents of change.
So another thing in your match is I felt like early y'all had a little bit of confusion on middle balls. You talked about, you sliding and Deckel doing the forehand. But it seems like maybe that's one of the downsides where y'all were occasionally changing up who's on the left and right more. That's one thing that noticed me like in the early couple of games. I'm wondering if you felt that way as well. There are a few paddle collisions in the middle.
Yeah, I feel like it was mostly off of third shot drives unwinding or when we were basically coming in. Once we were up at the kitchen, I feel like we were very good. It was just a couple of those, floating third shots that they hit or third shot drives. Yeah, it was a first-time partnership. So we play plenty of times at the lab.
That's good.
But we play differently when we're playing in rec play together, right? Like, I'm not going to let Deckel come play 75% of the court in rec play. Like, I'm trying to play too.
I've seen your clips from the lab, and if you're a jackass on the PPA or an MLP, you're like 10 times that at the lab.
Oh yeah, no. If I'm a jackass in the PPA, then I don't even know what I am at the lab. We're gonna have to come up with a name for that.
And then the other key moment, I guess, was like in that third game, y'all had a chance to maybe close it out like 9-7 or 9-8, and then it just kind of got away.
Yeah, they played a couple good points too. Gabe played sick in that fourth game too.
That was when you really started taking over.
Yeah.
Like, because I was with a bunch of people who had, so my dad watches a lot of pickleball. My brothers watch some, but then we brought like 6 or 7 guys that had like never watched pro pickleball before. And I was kind of explaining to them, like, this is what to look out for. And he hadn't really done too much taking over from the right side like we'd seen the previous week. And then all of a sudden, like, he was really, like, he had some incredible resets from the transition zone. And just, like, he really, like, made that game his.
Yeah. So do you think that Gabe and Andrei are the best team in pickleball right now?
I think right now, you kind of have to give it to them. They're the hottest team right now. It's been since April, since Ben and Colin have won a gold, but it's also been since July 1st, since Dylan and J-Dub have won a gold. So since then, the last 2 months, it's been completely wide open, and Gabe has been he's kind of making his mark in that like last couple months.
But don't you think going into that match, despite that, I would generally agree, don't you feel like you would rather see Pardoe and Andrei versus Colin and Ben, or versus J-Dub and Dylan?
I think there's more variability with Gabe and Andrei potentially. Last week in Salt Lake City, they barely escaped against Hayden and Pablo, I believe it was.
That was a great
right?
game. That was like one of my favorite games I watched this year.
Yeah, great match. I think, did they maybe have some match points against them
they
too?
Did, yeah.
So they barely escaped that one. I just think there's more variability with those guys. And we saw it a little bit, right? Game 1, they played pretty well. Game 2, they played, poorly. Game 3, I think both teams played well, and they eked that one out. I think that game 3 could have gone either way. And then game 4, they were the best team in the world. Like, we gave them some free stuff towards the end of it because we were just like pressing. I was trying to hit really good returns and hit really bad returns instead. And we just could not put a ball away against Gabe.
It helps that y'all missed 4 returns in the last game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were getting crushed, unwinding stacks, a couple bad bounces, and a couple of talentless shots from me. So, but I don't know. So, who won Bristol and KC? Do you know that off the top of your head? So we had Andrei and Gabe won Vegas. They also won Salt Lake City.
I should know. This is embarrassing. I'm blanking though.
This is embarrassing.
But so just like generally while you're looking that up, what is your strategy going into that match? Like, is there a variety and you say, okay, we're going to come out with this one, adjust accordingly depending on how they play? Or is it like or is there one strategy like we're just going to stick to this the entire match?
I think, there's very few teams who can get away with saying we have one strategy and we're going to stick with it. Like, there's got to be, there's adjustments, there's counter adjustments. So, the strategy generally was try and make Gabe hit some third shots because Andrei, while his third shots aren't nearly as flashy, he just does such a good job of getting in off of the 5th or even the 7th. Like, if you hit the return to Andrei, he's gonna get in. So we thought that Gabe might hurt us more with his third shots, but he also might give us a little bit more to work with. In the rallies, we really wanted to avoid giving Gabe dead dinks, meaning like dinks where he is the person dictating.
Yeah.
We have to keep Gabe honest, but when we do, we've got to make sure that it's a quality shot that he can't really do a ton with. We don't want to let him cook. Deckel and I felt like it was pretty safe for Deckel to go backhand to backhand with Andrei, but Andrei's hardly ever going to miss one of those dinks. So at a certain point, if we wanted a pop-up, we were going to have to change it up somewhere else as well. And then serve big.
And it was Kwong and Christian, of course, who won the Bristol gold medal.
Kwong and Christian.
Right.
Who got KC?
KC was Federico Saxrud and Gabe Tardio. So
Okay.
Gabe has 3 of the last 4 gold medals.
Gabe has 3 of the last 4. I don't know. All right, if you're power ranking the top 5 men's doubles teams right now, who are your top 5 and in what order?
I mean, power ranking, taking kind of like the ebbs and flows of who's in good form. Andrei and Gabe, I think you have to put them at number 1. It's kind of tricky, like after that, like because Gabe and Andrei don't always play together. So like, do you put Federico and Gabe somewhere in there? Like, but
We're gonna say Gabe and Andrei are off the board. They're a partnership. They seem to be the most. Andrei is their most regular partnership. I would say.
Yeah.
And I'd say Federico is probably with Matt Wright at this point. So let's rank these 5 teams: Ben and Colin, J-Dub and Dylan, Gabe and Andrei. Did I say Fed and Matt already?
No.
Fed and Matt, Hayden Pablo.
The bros.
And then let's say Christian is switching up partners, but let's say Christian and Riley. Those 6.
That was fun to see them play together. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them together a lot, actually. But those 6, who are you power ranking? And if there's anybody else that I forgot, leave a comment down below, and then you can go f*** yourself. I'm just making sure the editors are.
Damn.
Sorry.
Good.
Tom.
Is the swear jar back? The swear jar is back, baby. We are back.
Can we edit that out?
Well, I probably would put Andrei and Gabe first. And then, like, it's been a while since J-Dub and Dylan have won a gold, but I don't know. I still feel like I'd maybe have them in the 2 or 3 spot. Pablo and Hayden have been dangerous too. I think I would definitely put Andrei and Gabe first right now. Like, the fact too that they like could not get over the hump of beating J-Dub and Dylan. They lost them in an APP final. They lost them at the US Open. They lost them at PPA before, and they finally beat them like in the semifinals. That's huge. Yeah.
So is Gabe? Where does he rank personally in top 5 male pickleball players?
Yeah. I mean, he's got to be top 5, but I feel like he just doesn't get enough credit for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, you were just looking in the last 4 weeks, he has 3 gold medals. So,
Yeah.
like, the conversation, if we had this a month
Well, he
ago,
also has a mixed gold too, right?
Exactly.
The mixed gold is wild.
Which is crazy, too, because he is doing very poorly in MLP with Kate Fahey on the St. Louis Shock and mixed. They're like something like 3-20 or something. So, yeah.
So the problem with a right side player is you're always going to be at the mercy of your left side player, right? So if Gabe had a 10.0 DUPR from the right side, right? Absolute best player in the world, it's a little bit too easy to get isolated out in a match, right? So it's hard to say, can you be the best player in the world from the right side? Maybe, but you have to have at least somebody who is capable enough of supporting you from the left side. And I think, I don't want to diminish Andrei Daescu whatsoever. I think there's a very strong argument that he's a top 5 player, like at least within the top 8. I don't think there's any doubt in that. But I mean, Gabe is the offense in that team primarily, right?
I mean, and if you
Andrei
look
has unbelievable hands.
Look too at Christian Alshon playing on the right lately, with Kwon getting the gold against the Johns brothers in Bristol. Like, I think maybe you can be the best player from the right now.
But you can just get isolated out.
That's
too
true.
well.
That's true.
So if let's say Ben is playing with a replacement level professional pickleball player, like Ben can still be the best in the world because he can take over from that left side. There really isn't takeover ability from the right side when you are a right-handed player because your backhand is in the middle. Christian does a good job of flicking that backhand from the middle, and then Gabe does a good job of reaching in with his forehand and doing some like double jointed wrist type of crap, right? And so the two best players from that right side, excluding Dylan Frazier, but he's in that conversation as well, can both create offense from the center. But one of the things that we knew was safe in that match was Deckel going backhand to backhand with Andrei. Now, if Gabe did not have Andrei over there or had somebody who wasn't as solid at backhand dinking, we wouldn't have this conversation. Gabe wouldn't be winning the same amount, right? If Gabe had a replacement level player on the other side, he wouldn't have won any of those golds. Not because of him, like he deserves it, but I don't know. I don't think you can be the world's best player as a right-handed player from the right side.
But to be the world's best team, you need to have somebody who can still insert themselves.
100%. I think Gabe is making a very strong argument to be if not the best argument, he's the best right side player recently. Oh, we had serve controversies. You guys want to talk about that?
I'm down to talk about that. My father-in-law was along at his bachelor party, and he came away with the impression that maybe it's like he was like, is Deckel Bar like a villain? Like it kind of like seems like people were cheering against him when they finally started calling some of these replays, and that's not something I'd ever watching so much pickleball. I don't think of Deckel Bar as that guy's a villain. Yeah. But he was like, is he a villain? Like, why were people so happy to see this get called?
Yeah, and Zane, you're not a villain, but you're like a shithead sometimes, right?
He's like the time.
He's chaotic good, chaotic neutral maybe if you're on the alignment chart. Yeah.
Wait, what does that mean?
Well, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you can be like lawful good. You're like chaotic neutral to good somewhere in there. So
you just alienated 95% of the audience, guys. Please don't drop off.
Sorry about that one.
Wait, so do you think people like me or don't like me? I still don't understand.
They like you because you've got like a mischievousness streak about you.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Okay, yeah. I like to push the buttons.
All my D&D people, support me in the comments, please.
I bet you there's more of them than you'd expect.
Yeah, it's pickleball. Yeah. This is like such a interesting.
We're all a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
So
at least the ones watching pro pickleball like tweeting. Everybody has some weird like side hobby or something they came up on, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Hey man, we're in the mainstream now. Dungeons and Dragons, comic book movies are like the biggest grossing movies. Nerds have already taken over the world.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'll keep telling myself.
Yeah, I was surprised how much like jeering there was when these serves were called reserves.
Yeah.
So to be fair, Deckel is a big dude, and also he makes his serve look kind of ridiculous, right? Like he's up on his toes to be as high as possible. Like he's making contact as high as possible. But the real reason that people have problems with Deckel's serve is because it's good. It's because he rips it. if he did the same exact motion. So here's the thing. Sometimes Deckel gets tight and doesn't hit the serve hard. Nobody complains when that happens. He gets tight and he pushes the serve in.
And I feel like you couldn't help but get a little tight when they're calling that many replays on you. Like it had to be a factor in that game, just like the mental aspect of that.
Well, yeah, that was the wild part. So we haven't had redos on serves since 2023.
I was trying to explain, like I was with people who never watched before, and I was like, I'm actually confused. I was like, I don't know why they're getting so many replays. I didn't realize the distinction was calling a questionable serve versus calling a fault. And I tweeted that, and then the Dink was very quick to correct me and guide me what was happening. So thank you, Dink. Thank you, Mr. Dink.
Because it was the redos. It was the ref wasn't calling faults. The ref was calling I can't tell. And then eventually they called a fault. So you guys were able to challenge it once he makes a ruling one way or the other. They review it, they overturn the call, and now he gets to serve again.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like I said, watching it real time, like if you're not a very well trained eye, you're gonna think that Deckel's serve is illegal because he hits it hard and he's big, right? I think Deckel said this before, and I'll say it right now. Somebody send us a screenshot. If you tweet at me a screenshot. If you find a screenshot of Deckel hitting an illegal serve in a PPA match, I'll give you $20. Find me one.
That's easy. Frank, get on it.
Frank, get on it. Anybody, get on it. I will pay you $20 if you can find one of Deckel hitting an illegal serve.
And just to clarify, what he was calling as questionable was the paddle face being above the wrist at contact. Was that really what it was coming down to?
It was primarily the paddle head issue. The paddle head has to be below the level of the wrist, and he called one or two that were questionable on contact height,
which is the waist thing.
Which is the waist conversation. Referees interpret the waist as where they imagine your belly button would be.
Right. And then Deckel getting up so high, like that's so now he can serve from higher, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like raising the level of his waist.
Yeah.
Which is another advantage.
Yep. So
they have to watch that. They have to watch the wrist to paddle face.
Yeah, I mean, none of them are things that you can call in real time,
yeah.
Right? Like, and we're going to maybe get some screenshot submissions and stuff, and we're going to still be having this argument. Like, I'm going to see it one way, other people are going to see it another way. Like, you can't even really call these in slow motion unless they're egregious.
And it feels like this whole serve thing, like ever since Grayson Golden tweeted out, oh, look, they're adding an extra line to the court, like the whole de-weaponize the serve conversation really like kind of became like the topic. And this feels like we're reaching a crescendo where like something has to come from this. You know, like we talked about bad line calls for so long and we're getting close call replay. We've talked about paddles for so long and well, maybe that still hasn't been resolved, but like it's just something has to be done here. Like this was a good exclamation point on this as an issue. Like you can point to a gold medal match here where there were like 8 replays and like a fault called and nobody knows what the rule is or how to enforce it.
Yeah, we had a new rule. Yeah. What do you think we need to do? What's the progression
Honestly,
on the serve?
I just call it a day. Let's do drop serves and then we never have to talk about it again and we can talk about other stuff.
I'm with you.
That's what I do. It basically gets to the point where when I'm tired of a topic, we need to do something about it because we've talked about it too much. And I'm tired of talking about de-weaponizing serve. So just do something, make a decision, and let's do something.
Yeah, I mean it's just an enforcement problem. I'm with you. I think we need to do drop serve. I don't think that statistically the serve is an issue, but the enforcement of the serve definitely is.
And as we've seen on your pros for 5-0s, even going to an overhand serve isn't even all that effective for some people.
And that'll do it. Matty, thanks for coming on.
That's like, I got glared at there.
Zane just went quiet.
I was going to let you take that one.
I didn't know this was a sensitive subject. I apologize.
No. So hypothetically, though, let's just say they said, all right, everything's the same as it was in Vegas, but they don't care about paddle face to wrist. Like that is just, we're not going to officiate that. Would that really have much of an impact?
The top part of the paddle being below the level of the wrist?
Yeah. As long as it has to be below the waist?
As long as you still had the waist requirement, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Right. So then we'd essentially eliminate all that shit that just was going on in that final match.
So yeah, I mean I think you can eliminate the contact height requirement as long as you can eliminate any one of the 3 service rules. If you have 2 of the 3 USAP service rules, you have any one of the 3 USAP service rules taken out won't have an effect on the serve, really. If you take out the contact height requirement but still have the other 2, you're not going to have too many faults, because the way that I explained this is if you take out the contact height requirement, but you still have to have the top part of the paddle below the level of the wrist, and you still need to be swinging in an upwards motion, you can't really make contact any higher without discomfort. So imagine hitting an overhead serve, but now you have to contort your body to have the top part of the paddle below the level of the wrist. It's going to make your serve so much worse trying to hit it from any higher than your belly button. The belly button is actually the ideal place, the ideal height to hit the ball, as long as you have those other 2 rules, which is upwards motion and paddle head below the level of the wrist. If you got rid of the paddle head below the level of the wrist, but still had the height requirement, you'd be fine as well. And if you got rid of the upwards motion, but still had the other 2 rules, you'd be fine. So in any situation, one of the 3 rules is irrelevant, essentially. But that doesn't really solve the problem because the other 2 are unenforceable as well.
So let's just do a drop serve and call it a day.
I'm with you. I'm a big drop serve fan. I'm a huge drop serve fan. It was part of my article. I was like, if we actually want to fix the unenforceability of the rule, the drop serve is the way to do it. Tommy, what do you think about the drop serve?
I just think optically it looks junior varsity.
Why?
It just does. It's just like...
Great reasoning.
Yeah. It's totally subjective and qualitative. Like, there's no way to really, like, illustrate why I think it looks junior varsity, for lack of a better term. But it just does. It just looks like Weenie Hut Juniors.
Oh, that's a good SpongeBob reference.
That is.
Yeah.
I actually tweeted Weenie Hut Juniors. I said, this is the Players' Council meeting room. Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
did you see the clip of me hitting a drop serve?
Yeah.
You
like
thought
the
that
one,
looked JV?
the one, not in a match.
Oh, yeah,
you're
dude.
saying.
Yeah.
No, you made it look
Like
pretty
freshman
good.
B team. Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but like when they first started to talk about the drop serve, Tyson went out and recorded a bunch of drop serves, and like that video went viral.
I remember that.
In pickleball, because at that time there was like no pickleball counts. Now there's infinity. But
pickleball Twitter's it started from nothing, and we're
and like
off.
pickleball Instagram,
pickleball Discord.
There's so many people creating content now. But Tyson released that video, and everyone was like, "Whoa, drop serve's too crazy. We can't do this." Then he did it in a match, and it was just like irrelevant. He went right back to a normal serve. So
Yeah. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one, Tommy.
Okay, where do we go from here? Here's the thing: we got to play Guess My DUPR.
Okay.
And we can leave that for the end. So, we've got 20 minutes-ish to go with a few more topics. We've got the Selkirk Letters, which Zane and I did do an episode on, but we were both brain dead and couldn't speak English, and we were like, we can't even put this out.
It was dense.
Yeah, there's just like so much in there. We've got the Onyx stuff, which I do think is interesting, but there's not really much of a development on that front. And then we got to do Guess My DUPR. We also have PPA results, the rest, because we didn't really cover them all, and APP.
Real quick, I want to do your 1 through 6 of that power ranking before.
Did I not do it earlier?
I think we got through 1.
Oh. Damn, we're good at this.
1 or 2.
1, Andrei and Gabe right now, power ranking. They're the top. 2, probably go with Dylan and J-Dub. They're consistently like making it far in these tournaments, even if they're losing some of them. Number 3, man, it's like, where do you put the Johns Bros in here? Because they're not even locked to get out of the quarterfinal now. It's tough, but I still feel like I don't want to play them, even if like the field collectively can beat them. Like they're still a good team, so I'll keep them at 3 for now too, just because also like there's always just return to form chances, and I mean it's hard to pick against Ben. What was the other team for? Maybe
We'll
Hayden
have-
and Pablo next.
The other three combos we have are Hayden and Pablo, Matt and Fed, and then
I'll probably
we'll
go
put
Hayden.
Christian and Riley together.
Oh, I'd probably go. Maybe I'd put Christian Riley right now. Well, here's the other thing too: is like Riley Newman not having a good year up
Right.
until like this tournament, or was this maybe a return to form for Riley? He's only played 7 or 8 tournaments, so kind of hard to say there. Like we hadn't seen him in a final in so long, so it was honestly really fun to see him
Came back to a bronze and a silver though.
And I got to say for Riley too, like that match didn't really go well for them, but like the points I thought were all like really good points and highly contested points. It was just Ben and Anna Lee were kind of like kicking ass. But Riley is like really good entertainer. He likes really good with the crowd, and like people that I was with like thought that he was like a fun player, and they like found him easy to root for. So I thought that's just interesting takeaway. So probably we'll do Riley and Christian next, Hayden, Pablo, and then we'll put Federico and I
Matt
think you
and
said
Fed.
Matt. Yeah.
I think I would probably agree with that order.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, we got Ignatowicz and Matt. Some of those bottom few players that we just mentioned are sort of mixing around, and then you also have Deckel, who's basically medaled with
He's like
everybody
he's a
recently.
little bit of a free agent, yeah.
So pretty unscientific work from us.
I think I would like to see the Ranchers men play more together because
Yeah.
that team is just fun to watch. Kwong rip it, and he gives so many ATP opportunities, but Christian for some reason seems to be like really good at defending them. So it makes for like a very dynamic style, which
For sure.
you don't always get in men's doubles stuff. So I feel like that kind of has been fun for me to watch.
Definitely, yeah. I like the fact that we seem to be switching around partners at a higher rate
Yes.
than ever before.
And I've got a very cold take: is that PPA Championship Sunday is probably the worst day to go watch, just because there's not a whole lot of drama. Not been the case in men's doubles lately because we've seen so many different teams win. But I think like just if Ben and Anna Lee just for fun, played with other people, that would be really fun. And like, who would you pick? It depends who they're playing with, of course. But like, that'd be entertaining.
Yeah. Well, Eric Dice somebody mentioned how dominant Anna Lee was this weekend. Do we think Anna Lee is at an all-time high separation from the rest of the field?
I mean, it feels like it.
Yeah.
She's lost one time ever with Catherine. She's won like 130 out of her last 131 women's doubles matches. She's lost like once in singles this year. Don't think they lost once in mixed doubles too. I mean, I don't know. Does it get bigger? Does the gap get bigger than that?
Yeah. So are we going to look 20 years from now, are we going to look back and say 2024 was the most dominant year in pickleball from Anna Lee Waters?
But at the same time, like she's 17, so she's
Right. What's she going to be like 23?
yeah.
She's
Sure.
still going to be absolutely dominating.
Yeah, but I mean, like the most dominant years ever in tennis. There's never been somebody who's like been undefeated in tennis. They've won all 4 slams, but there's never been a fully like undefeated year. Anna Lee has what, 1 or 2 losses on the entire year?
Yeah. One of the biggest things I notice about Anna Lee and Catherine is like they come out like people always talk about Ben's one weakness, if there is one, like slow starter, right? Kind of takes him a second to kick it into gear. Anna Lee seems to go out there and she's immediately like going for the jugular. And they can get up 6-0 and it's like they're playing match point every point. Catherine does the same thing. I think she's probably absorbed some of that from Anna Lee, but it's just like foot on the gas
Killer
at
instinct.
all times. Killer instinct. Like, have we looked at who has the most 11-0 games?
I think Pickles. I would like to see more data out there on Pickles. And I know Odom, Koopy Nation, he has capability, and I'll ask him for stuff, and he'll send me stuff. But like, I'd like to see a stat like not only how many times are you pickling, what are your net pickles, your pickle to getting pickled ratio,
Yeah.
and I would like to see days since last pickled. Who could go the longest without getting pickled?
Who would you imagine that is?
I'm writing that down.
Days since
we're doing that
last
before
pick.
I-
Well, you'd think it would be Ben and Anna Lee because they got pickled in a final against James and Anna, but it was like the stream cut out, so we never got to see it. It's like when LeBron James gets dunked on. Just erase the footage. We can't have that getting out.
So who do you think has the longest streak of not getting pickled? J-Dub?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
a
do
good, that's a good
we'll do
question.
some work.
Yeah.
Let's collab on that one. We get Odoth in the mix.
Yeah.
It's not me.
When did you get pickled?
What's that?
When did you get pickled?
I got pickled by Travis, and he likes to let me know about it.
Oh,
We got
damn.
pickled at in Las.
Anytime he
San
brings it up,
Clemente.
just send him the clips of us playing.
Ay.
Okay. Let's play Guess My DUPR so we can do that.
I did not submit any clips this time.
Frank, can you cue those
Thank you
up?
for that.
I'm going to go to the bathroom and then we'll do that.
See, maybe this would be a good time to talk APP. Just kidding.
I think normally I'd be like here blowing the trumpet for APP, leading the parade. But I didn't get to watch any this week because I was in Vegas, But obviously love the APP. Shout out to Aunt Jenny running the pro tour over there. Their whole team. I've gotten to go work at 4 APPs in the past 2 years as kind of just like a helper. Done such important tasks as getting Rob Nunnery an energy drink, getting Susanna Barr a Diet Coke. Really important stuff. I've helped a little bit in the behind the scenes with their data and their points as well. So that's been a really fun experience. I'm super grateful for them, and that whole team. I love the APP. Yeah.
We're gonna cut all that out.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Actually, connected with Mike Poliski recently.
Yeah.
He had some controversy around him, and recently he has been completely had his court case against him completely thrown out, and he's been fighting some legal battles for a couple of years, and so just happy to see him in a good spot with all that stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure you'll Google it, but we don't need to go into it more. But we had what I thought was one of the more interesting singles matches, at least on paper. Chris Hayworth versus Grayson Golden.
Yeah, they're like playing each other a ton. Like that's kind of the matchup over on the APP, and they both. Chris just won a gold too on PPA, and Grayson has been. It's hard to get out of the qualifiers in PPA because if you're not signed, that's where you always get put in the qualifier. But he made it to a quarterfinal in PPA. We've seen that matchup.
I don't think
now.
he plays quite as much
No.
as Chris does either. I don't think, but yeah. So Chris took the gold, Grayson silver, and Jack Foster with the bronze. Women's singles, we had Simone Jardim with the silver coming back. Megan Fudge with the gold, and Rachel James with the bronze. My fives teammate, Mari, with the gold and mixed dubs. Over my other fives teammate, Will Howells and Yana Newell. Jill and CJ Klinger with the bronze. And then a little bit of an upset with, maybe not an upset, but Susanna and Bobby took the gold over Amanda and Mari. Mm-hmm. Two medal weekend there.
I think Bobby, one of the more underrated players out there.
Oh, for sure.
So
I think she's a premier level player, 100%. And then in men's dubs, Will Howells and CJ took Jack Monroe and Rob Nunnery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting weekend over there in Chicago. It's tough out here.
Oh, you got a Nasty Nelson shirt?
I do.
Nice.
Mark Price sent me this.
Is that how you spell Nasty Nelson?
No, I think it's a different brand. I don't even know if it's pickleball related.
Okay.
But he sent me a Nasty Nelson shirt after
there you go.
Nasty Nelson of Hayden.
Honestly, were you thinking about doing Nasty Nelson on Sunday? With all the serve drama, I felt like it would have been like an exclamation point of a time to do one.
There's never a time where I don't think about a Nasty Nelson, but I wasn't seriously.
It's more like you're just constantly battling the intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We filmed pros versus 5-0s yesterday, and we played a sick point to go up. And on match point, I went for a Nasty Nelson, and you're gonna have to subscribe to the YouTube channel to know whether or not I hit him on match point.
I think there is, at least when I played with my buddies, there's like Nasty Nelson karma that always comes back to bite you.
Interesting.
Only if you miss. If you miss, the karma and the vibes swing against you. But if you complete it, like you're off and running. You're
interesting.
I think missing the Nasty Nelson is the most detrimental play that can happen to you. It's worse than getting hit in the nuts. It's worse than anything because it's like you're gonna like wake them up. Now they're angry and you didn't get anything to show for it. So I think that's why it's such a great play, and we should see it more. It is such a high leverage, risk reward type thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a turning point one way or another. You hit him, it's a turning point. You miss him, it's a turning point.
He probably thinks it looks a little junior varsity though.
Yeah. What? Honestly, this is how we should run the podcast always. Hey, Tommy, we don't actually need you. We're having a great time in here, Thomas. Don't worry about it.
Austin Pickle Ranch, 16 indoor courts in North Austin. In air conditioning, you have 4.0 locked play and above. If you're looking for that, come check out Ranch Play if you want to get some duper games. I think there's a little bit of a duper bubble up there. So if you don't think your duper is high enough, go beat up on my older brother at the Pickle Ranch. You'll get your duper up. It's a fantastic facility. It's the quietest indoor facility that you will play in. I guarantee it. They have spent all the money they could to make it just like a phenomenal experience. So come check it out. My dad, you see him there in the cowboy hat. Make sure to say hello and tell him I sent you.
There we go.
Okay. Welcome back to everybody's favorite segment.
Raise the roof.
Guess My DUPR.
I think I'll be good at this. It's like these are my people, in the 3.5 to 4.0 range,
Yeah, the problem is I feel like we're getting a bias of people who are upset with their dupers submitting these clips. Because I've overestimated everybody's duper.
Well, they're only going to send in their highlights. Who would send in their
true.
lowlights?
That's fair.
What kind of degenerate
what type of person might do that on last week's podcast?
Okay, we're going to do the first one here. It's the player on the bottom right. Let's see if we can play this thing.
I'm guessing that shirt compensates for the lack of a backhand dink.
Okay. I saw two hands go on the paddle on the backhand side, and it looked a little smooth. Oh, we've got more clips. He's playing left and right. Now he's on the far side.
Yeah, he's a solid player. Nice resets.
Defending the Ernie.
Ernie defend with the backhand close. Is he playing?
What was it? Is that
Replay that one, Frank. Do that one again.
He's got really big follow-throughs, which I hear you're not supposed to do.
Good angle there on the close.
But he's got good angles.
He's got the, I don't know if that's the Sunday Swagger shirt, but he's got the Travis Rettenmeyer style going right now.
Yeah, he's got the Rettenmeyer style.
The other thing, too, guys, you have to look at who he's playing with, because you can get clues to his duper based on who he's playing with.
This is true. This is true. This looks like a 5-0 game. Is that the Selkirk new Kevlar paddle? Because nobody good uses that.
I'm going 5-2-4.
I think we were high reliability 4.6, like a 93 reliability score 4.6, 2, 3.
Oh, he's flashy. He looks like, I mean, he's just got such good, you can tell he's a tennis player. That overhead was really smooth. I've been like way over on all of my duper guesses, but I'm going to go a 5.45.
All right, we're glazing this kid. Let's see it, Frank.
Oh, wow.
5-2-7-7.
5-2-7-7.
Pedro Jose da Costa, but I'm not even going to attempt the last name.
Okay.
All right.
Well done,
Solid
Pedro.
player.
Well done, Pedro.
What's the highest duper we've had so far on this?
I think this.
This is he definitely looks like the best player we've seen.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff, Pedro.
We're gonna have to start giving him Zuper.
You know how
ratings.
I realized I became an official pickleball influencer was I got like random people. Random people started following me on Duper. Like I don't even know.
I hope I don't have any followers on Duper.
Ooh, I like this. It's full screen now.
All right, give it a. Oh, nice. Give it a play.
We got a proton paddle there. Creeping in.
It's this kid with a proton, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping his point alive.
Yeah. There it is.
Got to earn
Nice.
There it is.
Good finish.
Yeah.
This is the same
A
point.
5-0 might have gone for an Ernie there.
All right, I like people sending in multiple clips. That's the
Yeah,
new.
this is helping.
That's the new.
Let's see how we're moving here too. He's looking to take over there in the middle.
He's moving a lot. Pretty good backhand flick.
This guy on the other side is keeping it alive though.
Good shot selection. Ambitious flicks. Got away with it there.
There's charging it.
What a reset.
Great hands.
Just got to get a paddle on it.
That's some good dink form. Oh,
Ooh, that's smooth.
I was not ready for that one.
That's smooth.
I didn't look like it was even there.
It feels another like pretty
They're selective clips though. Like that kid sent in his highlights just now. Okay, and I'm thinking he's deceptively lower in the 4 range. I'm going 4-3-4.
Ooh, Matty?
I'm just thinking I don't think I could beat him. So he's higher than a 3.8.
Okay, we've got that figured out.
I think my dad could beat him. So he's lower than a 5.0. So I'm going to stick with my 4.6 number again. It just feels about right.
So I think he doesn't have strong shot selection. And we saw, I mean, he was pulling a lot of backhands. What I didn't like was that he was moving a lot when he didn't need to.
Well,
and when
James
he did
Ignatowicz,
need to, yeah, he was like jumping around. But when the ball actually came to him, he was very lackadaisical with the footwork and was crossing over heavily on some of those backhand dinks. Which leads me to believe that the same thing that you said, that he is sending in some highlight points. I think he's inconsistent, and I'm going to go 4.85.
Oh, that was high for everything you just said.
Well, he's still really good. But not as good as the last guy we saw.
All right, let's see it, Frank. What?
Damn.
5-6.
Damn.
Reliability 100. All right.
Oh my God, Jake, you're cap, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
but hey, it's a North Dakota 5.6.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. There is no crossover from North Dakota to the rest of the country in DUPR.
Dang. I just
Not what Duper's designed for, right?
I just alienated all of my North Dakota followers too. That was
All right. Wow.
Jake. Sorry about that. Maybe you are really consistent, but just stop crossing over on your backhand dink when you don't need to.
That's the most wrong I've ever been. Okay. All right.
I thought I was going to be really good at this. I really did.
Next.
Two-hand backhand dink. He's hunting for it.
He wants it.
Yeah. He knew the spot
that
to
was
hit
it.
it to go for the ATP. So he knows something.
Yeah,
so
he's
he's above a 3.5. He's above
Yeah.
maybe 4.0-ish. Are we thinking
Yeah,
there?
that's 4-2-ish.
Yeah.
4-2. I didn't like his backhand out of the air. That looked
Yeah,
shaky.
agreed.
That looked like he was going to miss that. He looks like he's really looking for that two-handed backhand a little bit too much off the bounce. I'm going to go 4.47.
I'm just going to go 3.95.
Okay. 3.828.
3.82.
Okay. A low reliability, 3.8. So me and this guy could have a good showdown.
What's my reliability? That's making me think about my reliability. I wonder what mine is.
3.8. I'm convinced that's low for that guy.
Yeah, seems a little low. Frank, let's do one more.
Ooh.
This is gonna be an interesting angle.
We got a little.
Hold on, can we rewind this?
We've got a little rollout court surface here.
Thank you. Okay, that guy.
This guy.
That's smooth. Tricky.
There's the put away.
Nice. I like it because I think he was toying with them. And if you know how to toy with somebody, that's, I think, leads to, I don't know. He sees the court well enough to toy with a team. That was pretty good. I'm going to go 5.3. And I'm very well expecting him to be like a 3.9. But 5.3 is my go ahead.
I'm gonna stick a little bit lower. I'm a little confused by where they had the camera and how they were propping that up. It didn't look like they had a proper tripod. I think maybe a higher DUPR player would have had a tripod. So maybe like a 4.37 here. Yeah.
4.84.
5.1.
5.13. Okay.
This is
All right.
I think that's the closest I've ever been What did I? I don't even remember what I said. I think I said a 5.3.
Okay, look at that reliability score though. 6.
Yeah, so like I could be right.
Yeah.
His singles is a 3.4.
Oh,
so.
were those
Okay.
Was that the Bainbridge Island?
All right.
those guys that invented?
Wait, Frank, you gotta circle one of the guys so we can know who we're guessing in this next one.
Is this the CIA
this is the
agent
last
who invented pickleball? Is this where the PSYOP started?
That person,
All right.
bottom right.
On the right.
I bet you that's Steve Parento.
Doing the leg kicks. These guys are probably the best pickleball players in the world at this
Yes.
time.
For sure.
They know what they're doing. He looks like he's wearing a diaper. That serve is questionable.
How about that windup?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like this is like pickleball at its like this is peak pickleball here, you know? Makeshift little net, having fun.
Look at that.
All right, these guys at the time were
7.5s.
yeah,
It's a 1987
high
5.
sixes.
That was actually Ben Johns in
Yes.
1981.
Yeah, adjusted for inflation, 6.5.
Adjusted for inflation. In this economy, I don't even know what to make of that. That looks like that was the first court, right? Like that looks like
Yeah.
that was way back in the day.
What do you think those guys would actually be today, though, playing like that?
I think I could take them.
Yeah, they're probably like
Yeah.
3.8s.
They're 3.7s.
Yeah.
And those are the highlight points. So those are like 3.2s.
But
Yeah.
they had 5.0 vibes, just immaculate vibes.
I don't know, man. Some of those leg kicks were just a little bit extra.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're showing all that leg, you might as well.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with leg. I do some
little
twirls
flare.
every now and then.
But the wind ups on some of those shots were, you might have to bring that back. That could be something that
It's like they make like a pickleball video game, which we already have, I know, but it's a little iffy. I think they should get like some big wind ups, charge up your swings like that, you know, maybe like some Mario pickleball.
You need to have like a creative player in that.
Yeah.
okay. All right. What let's round it out with one more
I haven't mentioned that me and my dad beat Thomas in pickleball yet. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, you've talked about it on the
Plenty.
pod before, but
Oh yeah, that was when Tommy was full body cramping like 10 minutes in.
yeah,
Yeah. Everybody wants to talk about the L. Nobody wants to talk about the courage.
that's true. That's true.
He's a grinder. He fought through. He fought through. Good for you.
Matty, why don't you do the honors here? We can talk. Actually, one thing we didn't bring up is Connor Pardoe's word association game with Building Pickleball, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Onyx, lawsuits, thermoforming, Selkirk, letters, or we can go through results, PPA or APP.
We talked a little
It was
APP while
player
you were in
checks, too.
the restroom.
Yeah, we did. We actually covered APP.
I think I'd like to hear just a little bit about the Selkirk letter. I'd like to get y'all's take on that. I thought it was very
Okay.
interesting, and I'd like to know more about this Gary character. He sounds like a really cool guy. So
He's a good dude.
yeah,
All right. Well, then
Dope
let me
suits.
read this, and this will fill in. If you're not aware of this, I'm surprised we haven't already covered it on the pod. I mean, we tried to one day, but it was just a little dense. So I put together a brief synopsis of what is actually going on here, and then we can kind of break down our takes. So bear with me here. I was never good at reading in front of the class in elementary school.
We can play popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn reading. Yeah.
In a series of letters addressed to the UPAA, Selkirk has expressed serious concerns regarding the newly formed UPAA and its equipment testing and certification counterpart, Pro Pickle Labs. The UPAA's recently announced interim certification, announced August 6th.
Sorry.
Thank you, Zane. Excuse you. Seems to be the last straw for Selkirk, prompting them to write the letters. The interim certification, again, was announced on August 6th. It established new RPM and acceptable deflection force standards. The letter begins, "This letter may seem harsh, but please keep in mind the gravity of these issues and the critical juncture pickleball is at. Also, please keep in mind the promises of prioritizing what's best for the sport, which we all strongly value. Wrong decisions here regarding equipment have the potential to change the very nature of the sport we all love. and thousands of families supported by pickleball will be affected by decisions and actions taken by UPAA and PPL. So Selkirk seems to be, this is like a pretty pivotal moment. They are generally under the radar. So for them to even have sent these letters, I think is a statement in itself. And as Zane, I know we had talked about, it's pretty obvious these were written to eventually circulate and they were meant for public consumption. The letters lay out three primary concerns. One, the continued and unaddressed incompetence and unprofessionalism of the PPL and the unwillingness to bring in engineers instead of suit salesman friends to oversee testing. They keep bringing up the suit salesman thing. Number two, the uncouth. You had a good tweet about that word.
You had to Google that
Zane. You actually just stole my line, tweeted it. The uncouth and biased way of collaborating with a single manufacturer behind closed doors to push through an interim certification because, quote, they were in a tight spot with USAP and needed help getting their paddles approved, end quote. And the overall structure and direction of UPAA that has the potential to create anti-competitive and anti-consumer behaviors and outcomes. Number three, the unthoughtful interim certification, which was not sent out for feedback from manufacturers before being implemented and has the potential to allow harmful paddles that are Gen 3 paddles on steroids. Despite initial assurance from the UPAA regarding transparency and fairness, Selkirk was dismayed to find that UPAA was formed as a for-profit organization, with PPL's leadership remaining unchanged. This has led to widespread dissatisfaction among manufacturers. Widespread, according to Selkirk. Selkirk cited a number of unprofessional exchanges with PPL and UPAA, the general inability for PPL and UPAA to communicate what the standards even are, the lack of qualifications of PPL staff, UPAA's for-profit status and monetary relationship with PPL, their belief that UPAA colluded with YOLA by communicating the interim certification standards to them prior to everyone else, noting that YOLA's X paddles, so what were the paddles that were approved that they had kind of made as like a temporary solution, essentially?
Like the
So
mod.
yeah, the original problem was the Gen 3s. Those got banned by USAP.
Yep.
And then they had the mod TA, which is the exact same thing. It is the white paddle. Chris Olsen cut those up and found that they were basically the exact same thing. Those are now USAP legal. They've been played with a little bit in PPA. However, they're failing at an inordinate rate, it sounds like. And then they just came out with UPAA certified Gen 3S paddles.
Right. So it's the Gen 3S
Yes,
paddles
I believe so.
that were certified mere days after the interim certification was announced. Also, they note what they claim are anti-competitive behaviors, which I think is just reinforcing the fact that UPAA is working with YOLA behind the scenes prior to communicating with other manufacturers.
They basically think that YOLA is getting special treatment because their paddles got delisted from USAP, and they were the only ones given the new certification standards, and therefore they got these new paddles out when nobody else even knew what they were.
Yep. So let me just read the rest of this here. At this time, this was just an interesting sentence to me, so this is an exact quote. At this time, we believe the UPAA in its current form and direction is potentially the most dangerous organization to the future of pickleball. That is a hell of a statement. So the letter concludes with demands from Selkirk. They have essentially two options. So option one would be to restructure the PPL, so that includes personnel changes and guarantees that PPL is independent, convert UPAA to nonprofit status, reduce the price of certification, which I thought was interesting because I don't think we know what the price of certification
Didn't
is
you
yet.
get in trouble for saying what the price of certification was going to be?
Nobody can get me in trouble, okay? There were rumors going around about what that certification cost would be, and then it was never actually announced what it is. And I don't think it has been at this point, so to include that is interesting. UPA execs must divest from organizations that present conflict of interest and interim certification revoked and a technical audit and review of that certification. That's option one. Option two is return to USAP certification and convert UPAA to nonprofit status. So in either option, they want UPAA as a nonprofit.
That-
I think we were all of the belief that they were going to be a nonprofit. they've indicated that they're moving in the direction of becoming a nonprofit and still plan to do so, but in its current state is a for-profit entity.
Isn't that like one of the big things before you can be an Olympic sport is you need like a non-profit or governing body or something?
A non-profit governing body, but paddle certification, I don't know if we necessarily need to have that. You know, my take on it is that UPAA and YOLA pretty clearly worked together for this interim certification, right? Like that's a disaster. Regardless of whether or not brands knew about it or not, there's zero brands that it would make sense to use this for, right? This interim certification is for a paddle that is not USAP approved, which the only people who are making paddles that don't have one that's USAP approved in this situation is YOLA, right? So they're the only ones that stand to gain from this. This interim certification was clearly made to get them out of the tight spot. So agreed with Selkirk on that front. I don't know if anybody disagrees with Selkirk on that front. I don't know how you could disagree with Selkirk on that front. It does, yeah. So, but at the on the other hand, I also don't think that this letter was written for any form of constructive feedback or criticism. Option 1 was screw you, and option 2 was screw you. Let's go back to my friend USAP. Like, this was not written for any sort of. This was written for public consumption and just to throw shade at the entire organization, and not in a way of collaboration. So yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around, but Selkirk is not the good guy, like as they're trying to make themselves out to be, the heroes of the everyday pickleball player trying to keep paddle costs down. Give me a break.
Yeah, well, again, we don't even know that the paddle costs would go up. And the theory there is that if paddle certification is high, that cost gets passed on to the consumer, therefore inflating the average price of a paddle. But we don't even know that to be the case at this point.
Something tells me that the cost of paddles is not going down.
It's not. No, probably not.
Shout out Zane for getting me the new Pro XR.
Hey, appreciate that.
And for giving me a lesson.
Hopefully that helps you beat your brother.
Go check out that YouTube video on my channel. Zane gave me a little virtual lesson. I'm 0-5 versus my older brother. We're going to change that. Yeah.
Guys, Matty Pickles is the only YouTube channel that I actually subscribe to.
Let's go.
Other than ours, of course, and my own. He's the only pickleball content that I actually consume. It's hilarious. He's got good charts, good sense of humor. Yeah,
everything we just did here, I'll do in 20% of the time.
That's the Matty Pickles promise.
That's the Matty Pickles promise.
Can you tell the listeners why it's so important to subscribe to the Dink?
Yeah, subscribe to the Dink.
just to clarify, the Dink.
The Dink. The Dink's great. The Dink's good. You do all right.
It's good. It's good for the channel.
It's good for the channel.
Yeah.
I don't really know how the whole YouTube thing works yet. I'm still kind of figuring it out. I'm just kind of putting it out there and seeing what happens. But I think you're supposed to tell people to like and subscribe, because if you don't, then they won't do it.
Well, this is free content for the people. They don't have to pay for it. If you've watched more than one episode of this show, it feels like you kind of owe it to just hit that subscribe button. It's no big deal. We'll keep doing the content for free. In fact, it helps us do more of this content for free.
That.
And I'll cry if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Zane, Zane's sensitive. Anything else on the Selkirk letters? We really breezed through that one.
We did. You either have to go completely into it and go and talk about it for an hour and a half, or do what we just did.
Yeah, as soon as you started reading that, I regret picking that topic.
Well, the problem is when we tried to do it before, it was so difficult to just cherry pick. You kind of have to be thorough.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then to try and unpack everything, there's so much subjectivity involved. There's so much anecdotal evidence. It's very difficult for the average person from the outside looking in to really even understand what's true, what's not, and what the implications are.
It's very confusing just for the person who shows up to some kind of managed play that's not just casual rec play. Am I allowed to play with this paddle?
Right.
It was confusing for us going through that letter line by line. And that's you have to go through that letter line by line if you're going to go into detail with it.
There's some good laughs in there. There's some
There
funny
are
bits.
some great lines. Shout out Gary. Let's finish with Pardoe on Building Pickleball, which A, I can't believe he did, and B, was hilarious.
It was savage.
Yeah, he didn't. It was really like a lot of times you see like the little quick hit word association. You can tell they thought about it. Like no, he was just firing from the hip there. He was letting it rip.
He sent it. I appreciate that.
Let's see. Yeah. So the main thing. So he goes on Brian Lim's, which is Building Pickleball. He goes on his show, and I assume there was like a full interview, but the one clip I saw was this word association. Brian posted that. He knew he had hit some gold there. But they go through a handful of terms, and basically I'll just read right from the Dink newsletter. They played word association, and it got interesting with Pardoe offering feeder tour, the future, and incompetent in response to APP tour, UPA, and USAP, respectively. So he says APP tour, Pardoe says feeder tour. He says UPA, Pardoe says the future. He says USA Pickleball, Pardoe says incompetent. I mean, just absolutely firing off.
He was needed.
What do you think about that? I mean, you've got you've got family ties to the APP.
Yeah, when you were in the restroom earlier, Zane and I were talking. I love the APP. I've had the opportunity to work with the APP. I've gone to 4 events kind of as a helper. I've helped them with their data behind the scenes and stuff. And I think they would reject that feeder tour notion. And let me also just say, like, in no way am I representing anyone's thoughts here but my own too. But yeah, my aunt works for the APP tour. And I think that they have a great tour. I think they have a really good product. And it's interesting to hear him say that. And also, especially last week on the King of the Court podcast, Pardoe also said they were going to start up their own like feeder tour. So that'll be interesting to see too, like how that plays into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree with that, but I am biased. So
yeah, I mean, like, to play devil's advocate, and also I am a fan of the APP tour. I spent a lot of time there. I like the people there. Like, historically, the best players have moved from the APP tour. Like, that's not a fact that that is a fact, right? And currently the best players are up and coming players, and it seems like they do get poached by PPA MLP, right? So I don't know. I think if they want to get rid of the idea that they are the feeder tour, they've got to change something to retain their top level players, which are currently Will Howells, Jack Monroe, Mari Humberg, Susanna Barr, Bobby Ashiro, Megan Fudge. Like,
and I think it's interesting too if you think about like the different ways you could do that. Like right now, if you play all 12 APP events, you get double the prize money at the end of the year. But then you look at what the PPA is doing with their guaranteed contracts and how much money some of these pros are making. Like, if you can do that, like, is it sustainable? Like how what's the long-term health of the game? Like, is having salaried players make for the better product long-term, especially if you're forcing better players into the qualifiers just because they don't have a contract and you don't have any more contract money to give out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got to do something to keep them, and it doesn't. It also doesn't help the image that all of these top players at APP pretty much are also playing Major League Pickleball, right? That doesn't help them. So.
Yeah, it's almost like out of principle, they won't spend the money to retain certain talent,
or at least make them exclusive. And I appreciate the fact that they aren't exclusive. I think that's a very, I think that's an admirable thing. Like, as long as you play X amount of our events, you don't have to be exclusive. I think that's admirable.
Sure, but what does admirable get you in the long run if all your talent just immediately leaves to go to the PPA as soon as they establish themselves?
Yeah, but if you are Jack Monroe right now and they say, hey, look, we love you, we're going to give you an offer, but it's exclusive and you need to not be on the Chicago Slice anymore, that ultimatum doesn't work for the APP at this point, right? I don't think they have. I think what started out as a very smart business decision to let players play whatever they want is now hurting them, because if they do change to exclusive, they lose that top crop of players again, I think.
Right. Well, that's assuming that they can't make it exclusive for just tour play. and still let them play MLP. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the problem is they seem to schedule MLPs over APP events.
Yeah, right.
And then make the players choose. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough spot to be. I cheer for everybody. Actually, nice. I really do. I actually do.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. That's PicklePod. Congrats on your debut.
Woo.
Thanks for joining us.
Shout out to the Austin Pickle Ranch. Shout out to Hey Shay, all my Discord friends, everybody on Pickleball Twitter. Am I allowed to do that?
Sure.
That's PicklePod. That's PicklePod.
All right, PicklePod.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had fun,